Plaintiff Pauline Hawkshurst says the defendant dated her cousin, and after she scratched her cousin's face, Pauline and the defendant had a falling out. Pauline suing the defendant today for a loan and a refund on a car. Defendant Natia Rhodes says her boyfriend and Pauline act like kissing cousins because whenever he and Natia have an issue, he always runs to Pauline. Natia insists the car she sold Pauline belonged to her uncle, so she's suing the wrong person.
Start with you.
I had met Natia about 6 years ago, and I met her through my cousin. They have a baby in common together. When I had first met her, she was a sweetheart, but then I had noticed little crazy tendencies where when she would be arguing with my cousin, she would show up at my house like I was a side chick and throw all his clothes all over the front of my house, all over the lawn, morning, noon, or night, whenever she chose to do it.
How many times did she do it?
I would say approximately 2 times.
Is this true?
Sometimes.
Why?
We just get into arguments and I get angry sometimes.
I know, but what does that have to do with her?
Believe it or not, they're like kissing cousins. Anytime it's a problem with me, it's always...
You still go with him?
Yeah, not really. I'm pregnant.
Yes.
I'm pregnant with a shot right now, but we're in the middle.
Once again, why do you take it out on her when you have an argument with your boyfriend?
No, she puts herself in the middle of it.
Every time?
Every time.
All right, give me one instance in which she calls you to dump his clothes at her front porch.
Well, every time that we get into it, she'll call my phone harassing me about why I'm doing this or why, just getting in the middle of our relationship.
Is that true?
I thought that we were friends to where I could speak to her. We had a falling out because she had barely scratched my cousin's face. And I thought that we had a genuine...
Okay, I dump them on you too. You calling me and I'm having, oh, hey, y'all together on this? Okay, good. Let me bring you these clothes over to your house. Got it now. If she's calling that and that's your man. All right, go ahead. You're right, they in it together, so they suffer together. I'm with you on that. Let me allow you to give some background, ma'am.
Basically, I've known her, like she said, for 6 years. We actually have a 4-year-old together, too. So
You and your boyfriend?
Yes.
All right. And she interferes with your relationship?
Correct.
All right. And throughout the relationship, that's been the case?
Pretty much, the whole relationship.
All right. Tell me how she owes you. Tell me about the loan and the refund on a car.
December 6th of 2013, she had came to me and asked me for a cash loan for her own personal use. I didn't really question her because she had borrowed money from me and she had paid it back. So her character was good with me there. So I had lent her the money. But then that's when we had the falling out because I approached her about badly scratching my cousin's face. So she must have thought she didn't have to pay me anymore, being that we weren't talking about that falling out. The original agreement that she had said was that she'll pay it back by taxes of 2014.
Income
so
tax.
She didn't pay me back. We stopped talking, and I haven't heard from her. I tried to attempt to speak to her a few times, and she just really didn't want to speak to me.
When was the last time you have spoken to her regarding
about the
money?
incident of this car? When she would be arguing with my cousin, she would show up at my house like I was a side chick and throw all his clothes all over the front of my house, all over the lawn.
How many times did she do it?
I would say approximately 2 times.
Is
and
this true?
Sometimes.
Plaintiff Pauline Hawkshurst says while the defendant was dating her cousin, she assaulted him and scratched his face.
Tell me how she owes you. Tell me about the refund on a car.
On July 23rd of 2014, my cousin had came to me and told me that I should speak to Tia, that Tia's selling a car on behalf of her uncle. Her uncle was sick and she was going to sell the vehicle. When I had went and looked at the vehicle, she had told me that it's a great vehicle. I'll be very happy with it.
Where'd you go and see it?
I went to it at her house and saw the vehicle.
Not the uncle's?
No, yeah, that must have been her uncle's house. That's not where she lived at. I went to...
You didn't go to the uncle. You didn't go to her house.
Well,
did
I
you?
never met the uncle. It wasn't where she lives at, so it must have been her uncle's house, yes.
Okay. All right, that's my point.
Yes.
Because you said hers. That's what
No,
I wanted
yes,
to
her-
clarify.
her uncle's.
Big difference.
Yes.
All right, because you're blaming her so far. And so far, you never even, it was never at her house that you know of. Go ahead.
No, it was at her uncle's house. She had told me that she has...
You went over to see it at her uncle's house.
Yes, and she said that she could deal with me. I could deal with her in the sale of this vehicle. And she told me that if there was anything wrong with it, she'll make good of it. This is what she had told me. She'll make good of it if I wasn't satisfied with the vehicle.
Did you take a look at it?
I looked at it the best I could.
Did you drive it?
She wouldn't allow me to drive it because there was no registration and insurance on it.
All right.
So I bought the vehicle from her for $2,200.
And whose name was on the title?
My name is now, but it was her uncle's name who was on the title. Yes,
Okay.
it was.
And why are you suing her about it?
I ended up driving it home. The check engine light had came on. I had somebody look at it, and I had gotten an estimate for $1,600. If I bought the vehicle for $22,000, I feel like she
When you
knew.
spoke with her about it, what did she say?
She hung up on me and told me that it was an as-is sale. I understand, but she didn't write as-is on the bill of sale. And then
Let's see
if
what
it
you
was
have.
as-is, she shouldn't have told me she'll make good of it.
You told her that?
I did tell her that, but I didn't assume that the
And
car
here's
had...
the estimate.
Hold on. You told her you would make good on it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what's your defense today?
Well, I feel like if the money didn't come to me, then I shouldn't be responsible for...
Well, you are when you say you'll make good on it. That makes you responsible.
Well, I figured, I guess, since she didn't deal with me with the money directly.
Well, always figure when you tell somebody you're going to make good on it, you've put yourself on the hook. Whatever happened before that, you put yourself on the hook.
I did say I would make good of it, but I also told
That's
her
all we
that-
need to know. Let's
that-
talk about the loan.
I feel like the $1,000, technically, she let her cousin borrow it.
Technically. She never spoke to you about it?
We spoke about it.
Did she put it in your hand?
Yes.
Your Honor.
Is she all right?
Yes.
Really? All right, you don't need to go any further with this. You put it in, you spoke to her about it, you put it in her hands. And you say she agreed to repay you, and that sounds reasonable. She took responsibility. Judgment for the plaintiff. Have a good day.
Hopefully, maybe we can reconcile, because I do still deal with her cousin from time to time.
I do miss her, and I miss her daughter, and I know my kids miss her daughter. Maybe we could be civil with each other, just no loaning of monies or buying any cars.